Hellos, my peoples. Welcome back. It's the fucking Critic Court. I am Toke, and I'm here to give you guys that review today on the fucking difference. My perspective of the difference between Love and Death, which is HBO Max series. I'm sorry, Max now. Um, and Candy, which is a Hulu series. They're both, you know, going into a story about a big affair that went wrong down in Texas, Wiley, Texas. Um, it was staged back in like the late 1970s, I want to say, uh, early 1980s. Um, it was about these, two uh two two couples. They were in a marriage, and one of them within both marriages wasn't satisfied, wasn't they were unhappy with their marriage. They weren't content, and decided to have a affair outside of that to, you know, uh satisfy their their wants and needs that they wanted. Um, the people that had the affair were Candy Montgomery and Alan Gore, and yeah, they they pretty much made an agreement and everything. As far as like terms and conditions of how their affair was gonna go. You know, and if one another um begin to, obtain feelings, then it would completely stop. And that's what happened, pretty much. And needless to say, the wife of Alan Gore, Betty Gore, found out and came at Candy with the ads, trying to approach her about the situation, but in a very aggressive way. And, you know, fucking shit went sideways, man. Betty got murdered. Betty got murdered by Candy. Um, and then they, went to big trial, and she got found not guilty. Candy did. But yeah, it was a few things that I found different between the two. Starters, the Hulu version was a little bit more dark and discreet. Like it was a bit brief, but kind of informational. But uh, you know, comparing to the HBO Max one, I feel like they got a little bit more in depth with the whole background story of it and whatnot. Needless to say, um, it was it was a bit much in the Hulu one, I would say, that to where it's like they made it to where the Hulu series was more against Candy, as you would say. Everyone's against Candy, and you know, um, making her to be this crazy axe murderer and fucking a little whore, tramp, all types of shit. Everybody's pinned against her. As to whereas the HBO Max one was made you seem a little bit more that they had a little bit more emphasized on it. They made you feel more, had more sympathy and felt sorry kind of for the whole way things went down with Candy and Betty. And you know, both stories were were a bit, outrageous. Like crazy outrageous, especially for that setback in that time frame. But I felt like, the the whole setting and clothing and hairstyles and all that, all that and above was way more to the T and actually fitting for the Hulu version as compared to the fucking HBO Max one. The HBO Max one was kind of, it was like they were trying too hard, and it was a little more modern day with the hairstyles and the clothing, the whole setting. It was just, I don't know. It felt a little bit, more current than as to whereas with the Hulu was more vintage. Vintage background. But yeah, they what? It was 5 episodes for the Hulu version. So they were like I said, they were a little bit more short and brief. They got to it, but they got straight to it with the point and everything, or they point across. But the HBO Max one actually dug into it a little bit more, especially with the trial and whatnot. Like what? Candy didn't do her testimony until she didn't approach the podium until the last episode, and on Mads, I believe she did in the third episode or whatever. So yeah, she was, I think she was the first, first person to be questioned at the podium. And the HBO Max one, as to whereas the Hulu one, she was, like I said, she was the very last one to do her little testimony. The judge was a little bit more. They made it known that the judge was a little bit more of an asshole, and they were on her ass. They were on her ass in the Max one. They did not let up. As to whereas, like the Hulu one, they were a little bit more nonchalant about things and didn't approach too much because they already had got they point across within the storyline of it. And I found it pretty interesting how when they went to question Candy and when she came down to do for the investigation, they they asked to take her shoes and everything, her sandals, which in the Hulu one she actually got rid of her sandals and like cut them up and all that bullshit. So they were like, no, that was like not even part of the evidence type of deal. And like it was pretty crazy because during like the investigation, Alan, he in the HBO Max one, he straight up told him, he was straight up with him like, yeah, I had an affair with Candy Montgomery, a couple years back, like 2 years back. It's done and dealt with type of deal. As to whereas in the Hulu one, he was a bit hesitant about releasing that information, as well as the about him taking money out of his account. He like withheld some information to the to the investigation, and that was like I said, that was pretty different from the two. The footprint that they matched, or that they found, discovered in the Hulu, was big as hell. Like, big as fuck. It looked like it could be a male that did it. But in the Matt's one, it didn't look outrageously that big. It looked normal. They just figured it was a male because of the damage that was done. It was 40 slashes to Betty's body. You know, they thought a female could amount to the damage that was done, but lo and behold, they found that out. The truth came to the light, and it was pretty interesting, man. It was pretty crazy. Um, and then Candy's husband, Pat, he ended up finding the shoes all cut up in the Hulu one, and that made him question his trust of her and whatnot, and so they also showed him going out into the their backyard and whatnot with this ads, and him like testing the theory of 40 watts and seeing if he was testing it to see if she could amount to this, and it's like there's no way, because he couldn't even amount to it. He was tired after like 32 swings or whatever. But it was just that real doubt of like regret. Like, man, did my wife really do this? Like, I don't know. He already found out. He found out they were having an affair because of a letter she left around, like a dumbass. But that was pretty it was pretty sympathetic. Like I said, the HBO Max one, they made you actually feel for Candy, as to whereas, like I said, with the Hulu one, they made it seem like she was out to be this monster, and it was just, like I said, it was real dark. It was real dark. The Matt's one was like more, colorful, and the lighting was perfect. It was sunny, all type of shit. And what else? Oh yeah, they like I said, they got more in depth, like as far as with Candy and her little trauma, her past trauma when she was a little kid that she experienced with her mother. Which followed her for years in her mind and built up anger, and all of it just came out, once she was approached and attacked by Betty. And she told her shush. She told her shh and shit, pretty much. At one moment, the baby was crying, and she's literally like just triggered. She just triggered, man. It was crazy. It was real crazy. Cause I just brought back memories, and it was a bad one for her. Me personally, I know y'all probably hate me. You'll hate me for this, but I fucked shit. I think Betty deserved it. She had it coming. That bitch was crazy. Like Candy, yeah, she had that little moment when she had that split, identity. Cause Candy was known in the neighborhood was for, being the perfect housewife. Cook, clean, make it on time. Fucking plays, you know, she's active, plays sports and shit, you know, plays volleyball, all types of stuff. You know, the perfect wife. And Betty was known for being this, you know, she had really crazy, she had mental issues. She really had like a mental disorder and whatnot. She had like, you know, anxiety, uh, post post trauma depression, all types of shit wrong with her. Like, to where she'll lash out actually in public on people and not even realize what she said, or won't even, you know, hesitant to do or react the way she did. So in the trial, it kind of, you know, like I said, in the Hulu one, they kind of made it seem more like Candy was in the wrong. But in the HBO Max one, she they tried to make it seem like she wasn't too much in the wrong, but at the end of the day, she did what she did. So now we're here. Now we're here at this, you know, and it's time to resolve it type of deal. Also, they didn't bring up how she had another affair with the dude after Alan, after the fact of Alan, and the match like they did with the Hulu one, you know, to cover her ass pretty much, and to where, you know, there's no way that she really did it, and because so someone that a woman that would do that would still somewhat have feelings for the husband, you know, for Alan, and, you know, had some type of bitterness and felt some type of way and had mixed emotions. So that was pretty interesting too. Um, what else that was different? Uh, oh yeah, the fucking when they told Pat, you know, in the HBO Max one, they made it seem like Pat, which was the husband, Pat Montgomery, he couldn't be in the courtroom, or he couldn't be there pretty much, or, you know, he like information was disclosed to him like that during the trial until, you know, until the lawyer, which is Don Crowder, who represented Candy, you know, had him testify and shit in the defense for her. And yeah, it was different in the Hulu one. The Hulu one, he was right there the whole time. You know, like he's right by her side, supporting her and everything. So, and it kind of uh had, you know, resentment feels in it too, with the HBO Max one with Pat, and, you know, in his role of being the husband. As to whereas with the Hulu one, like I said, he was right there. He was right there by her side. He didn't, you know, he didn't leave her. He didn't leave her even when it got bad, type of deal. And then the whole Alan, I feel like the Alan Gore, Jesse Plemons, which played Alan and HBO Max, they actually showed, you know, him having that, you know, that moment of emotionalness, as to whereas in the Hulu one, he kind of really didn't give a fuck that she died. I would say, like, yeah, you know, obviously that was your wife, da da da. Y'all had kids, all this shit, but he didn't really. He didn't seem too distraught about it. I don't know. He didn't seem too distraught about it. It was it was a, it was it was a big difference in A Rose that played. Um, what else that was there? Oh yeah, the fucking the when Alan went to tell the parents of Betty that you know, he went to their house and everything. Like I said, he was more straight up. He went to their house and everything and told them before the whole trial started and um you know news reporters and all this shit started coming out and shit about the trial, that how he had the affair and all this, as to where's the Alan at in the Hulu one, Alan Gore in the Hulu one, which was played by Pablo Schreiber. Uh, he just called their ass and told them. Like I said, he wasn't he didn't show too much of care, and in my opinion, he didn't show too much of care, and you know that was a big notice for me. And then the little kids too. The little kids in the Hulu one played. They actually acted. They actually showed them having their little emotional moment and sympathy and shit and scenes, as to whereas in the Matt's one, the little kids were like, oh yeah, da, 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 mommy's dead. Uh, damn, type of deal. And yeah, it was just a big difference between the two, I would say. And as far as like the roles, I'm not discrediting anybody from their roles. I would say Jessica Bell, which is the woman that played Candy in the Hulu, um, fit more for Candy, for the portraying of Candy, than Elizabeth did, Elizabeth Olsen. But but Elizabeth Olsen kind of just a tad bit acted a little, her acting was a little bit more a little bit more better, a little bit more assertive. The Don't get me wrong, the Candy Montgomery that played in Hulu, she showed her tears and whatnot and all this. But the one in the Mets, I felt like she was she read her script well. She read her script well. Everybody did well. Everybody did well in their roles. Like, but just like I said, the way that the roles were casted for Hulu was a little bit better, more fitting, as to whether who HBO Max one, they they acted well, they acted a little bit more better, but look wise, portraying wise, Hulu had it. Hulu had it. Also, they at the end, how they because she got found out guilty pretty much, and the the family, the Montgomery family ended up moving to Georgia, closer to her family, closer to Candy's family, trying to start fresh, all that shit. And they had mentioned how she changed her whole name and everything, and they didn't mention that in the Hulu one. So, yeah, Yep. That was something else I pinpointed. But overall, they both were good. Like I said, I'm not discrediting neither one. I you know, like I said, I feel like the match one had a little bit more of a budget, so they actually dug in. They weren't as brief as the Hulu one was, but yeah. So you have it, guys. That's my differences. Um, Let me know what you guys think um, of the two between Candy and Love and Death. Leave leave some likes, subscribe. Let me know. Just let me know what you guys think. Comments, all types of bullshit. And I will be back Wednesday to give you that anime corner, Totes Anime Corner review. So, that being said, toodles.